Jesus. All right, Danielle.
Let me turn this on. 1 second, sorry. Can't forget this. The meeting tonight is for the conduct of town business by the town boards. The public is invited to participate in the items marked on the agenda. Please raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged. Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you. Tonight, February 26th, is our end of the month meeting. We also have 3 public hearings on zone changes. And before we get to that, I'd like to say please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all the men, women, police officers, and first responders that do their job every day to protect us and let us do what we love to do and serve our country and our town. Thank you. Yes, I did this time. Okay. So I'm going to ask the board, we have public hearings tonight. I also have a hiring tonight after a long time, and I would not want him to sit here all night. So I'm going to ask the board if we can move resolution number 32 to the top of the agenda tonight, and you'll all have plenty of time for public comments, to appoint a part-time code enforcement officer assistant. But I also have to amend the agenda on that because that's not the name of the position. So the name of the position actually is appoint a part-time building inspector number 1. So I need a motion to move that to the top of the agenda for tonight.
To move to Resolution 32.
Resolution 32.
I make the motion to move Resolution 32 to the top of the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Matt, come on up here, Matt. Matt Drake has, I won't say volunteer, but he's stepped up and he's going to take the position of building inspector number 1, part-time. As we transition, some of our employees are moving out in a few years, so we're going to start getting new people in, and Matt is going to be our building inspector number 1. So let me get to the resolution, Matt. All right, so again, we're going to have to amend the resolution. Wherever it says code enforcement assistant, it's going to say part-time building inspector 1. So I need a motion actually to do that. So anywhere it says code enforcement assistant, it's going to say building inspector number 1. I have a motion to do that.
I'll make the motion to revise the resolution to be listed as building inspector, what did I just say? Number 1.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so move. So resolution 32, to appoint a part-time building inspector 1. Supervisor Court composes the following. Whereas the town of Marlborough Building Department needs a part-time employee, as whereas his recommendation appoint Matthew Drake to the position effective March 11th, 2024. Now therefore it be resolved that Matthew Drake be appointed to the position of part-time building inspector 1. Be it further resolved that the hourly rate is $21.97 and moves for its adoption.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
Councilman Kauke?
Yes.
Councilman Zambito?
Yes.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes, absolutely. Matt, congratulations.
Hey.
Come on up. Have your
That's
parents
right.
come up and take a picture. Come on up there. Get in there. It's a long time coming.
Oh, we gotta go up there?
Just getting out of the way.
So I could just say a few words. The building inspector role in the town of Marlborough has been long. I mean, we've only, in my term, Matt Coletta did 20 years, George Selinovich did 20 years, and I'm in my 22nd year. So, again, we're here to serve the community. We always have been. Community members serving the community is exactly what we've been looking for. We put the post out in the paper. We advertised for it. We didn't have any applicants actually come back because it becomes difficult to hire somebody in a professional position that we're in, and the positions that we're put in most of the time as code enforcement officers, when people could actually go to Dunkin' Donuts and make just as much money as we're making. So it's unfortunate. I mean, we don't make a lot of money, but we're here to serve the community, and that's what we've done over the years. My predecessor, George, who taught me, Nat, who taught George, and before that. So I look forward to working with Matt. I've worked with Matt for quite a few years at the high school, a young gentleman that I think will fit this position well after 2 years of training. 2 years is what I think I have left. I will look to stay on a part-time role because after 2 years, the position won't warrant enough training to get him where he needs to be. So again, I offered my services to the board after my retirement in 2 years, but I think Matt will be a fantastic fit, and I welcome and look forward to working with him over the next couple of years. Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations again, Matt. Okay, so we are here for a public hearing, a local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending various provisions of Chapter 155 zoning of the Marlborough Town Code as follows, amending Section 155-1, adding definitions for cannabis, cannabis establishment, cannabis on-site consumption establishment, cannabis products, and cannabis retail dispensary, Section 155-12, use regulations, and adding Section 155-32.5, cannabis, marijuana, retail sales, and lounges. And again, this is a public hearing for that section of the code that we're changing. And as I said last meeting, the reason we are doing this is because we do not have anything in our books right now to regulate cannabis. And as everybody knows, it's been passed by New York State that it is legal in New York State, so we have to have something on our code book. So that's why this is being done. So is there anybody here want to speak on the cannabis law? Come on up, Amy. You got to come up to the mic.
Maybe I'm not versed enough where I think I should be.
I don't know if you know enough about this subject to speak, though.
I think I'm getting more experience as every day goes on. Hi, Amy Hepworth, Hepworth Farms. We're an agricultural entity, and we also consider cannabis an agricultural crop. Our intention is to have cannabis subsidized farming and have the economic distribution go to communities and people. So we have a very big agenda. We're very active in the space. So we operate a vertically integrated company whose mission is to have a place for farmers that grow food, can also grow this crop, because this crop has a tendency to be very lucrative in the space. We're kind of shut out from the economic development because the banks, and it's very hard. There's, I'm not going to get into the business, but the truth of the matter is it's a plant, and it's a difficult task, but I would like a little protection to understand all the laws, because maybe I'm a little late in the game. We can't, in this space, sell. We have to sell to dispensaries, right? So, but there's the whole new industry that we don't know a lot about, what could happen. We don't want to limit people who are part of our community, like Falcon. You have to understand what all the implications are. Sorry, I don't really understand maybe all of them, but for instance, I mean, we want to have an education, at the CBD Lounge. It's been a hard space to work in for a lot of reasons, but all I would ask is that protect those spaces that are, I really think we're just going to do good things. We're going to, we're just a part of the community, and this is a plant, and it's coming out of prohibition, and we're not going to escape it. It'll be federal, but protecting, you know, the spaces that the town feels to protect. But within my own understanding, we've invested millions and millions of dollars to be an agricultural entity in this plant's release, and we're very deep into it. So all I would ask is some kind of understanding of making these laws not to hurt that which is inevitable to come, and protect those had invested millions in your town to develop it. Falco's an existing shop. I don't know how we're going to do it.
Right.
We'll talk later. So that would be just my comment.
Yeah, I mean, as you know,
What are the critical?
yeah, as you know, it's allowed in the town. Dispensaries are allowed in the town. Obviously, as you said, you can't sell as a grower at this time, right? I know that's your concern, is that maybe somewhere down the line that could change. So we could only pass the law based on what the current regulations are. You know, the biggest one for you in this is if you were able to sell somewhere down the line, it would inhibit you at this point with this code, because it's 500 feet from a school, preschool, town building, or a park.
Great.
So, but that's as of today, Amy. And it was recommended by the board to go to 1,500 feet because we really wanted to protect more, for children and stuff not to be around. And, state regulations say that's too harsh of a distance, and 500 feet is the max. So that's what we chose, is 500 feet is the max. So,
At least we're not in Oklahoma.
yes.
So I think we use our good judgment as a community where they should be located and not. And thank you for
Thank you, Amy.
making the right decision.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do, Amy. Anybody else on cannabis? Yes, come on up to the mic.
Good evening. So my comments really go to more the benefits of having cannabis dispensaries and other retail facilities. I think it's really important to regulate the manner in which they're presented. So I think zoning that focuses on the presentation, restrictions around signage so that it's not something that becomes an eyesore, but instead something that's an asset to the community. I think that's really important. I think the thing that I really want to underscore is that there are benefits from an income and revenue perspective to having these types of facilities. So there are 3 different taxes imposed on retail dispensaries and lounges and other type of multi-use facilities that sell cannabis. I don't have the percentages offhand. Actually, yes, I do. So there is a tax of 3 cents per milligram of total THC for edibles. For concentrates, that gets down to 0.008 cents. And for flower, smokable, consumable marijuana, that comes to 0.005 cents per milligram. So what does this mean? It means that we could generate a lot of revenue if we brought this type of establishment into our community. I think what's really important is making sure that it's consistent with our values as a community, making sure that they're not near schools or other facilities where we wouldn't want to have bars or other type of establishments that are kind of a similar nature. But I just wanted to voice my support because I think that there are a lot of positive upsides to something like this. And I'll also point out, there aren't many dispensaries within a 50-mile radius of our town. I think it's also a great opportunity to become a destination. So, thank you.
Thank you.
BRIT.
Got it?
Yep. Thanks.
Anything else on the cannabis law? Just. All right, nothing else on the cannabis law, so I'm going to ask the board for a motion to close the public hearing on the local law, the town of Marlborough, for the cannabis on-site consumption establishment and products.
I will make a motion to close the public hearing for the cannabis establishment.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Oh, you got a question back there? Come on up, come on up. Man, you're catching us right at the end. That's fine, though, no problem.
I'm Amy Agnew, and I just have a question. Is there any grandfathering? Obviously, there is an establishment for CBD. Is there any grandfathering of anything that's existing now in this new law?
No, this is not, it doesn't have to do with CBD. It's totally for cannabis and marijuana sales, so it's different than that. So like what they have on that site now is fine, where the Hepworth's farm is now, that's fine. This is for anything from this point on, which we don't have any cannabis or marijuana retail establishments in our town. So this is what it pertains to that.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, so now we have the local law of the town of Marlborough. This is a public hearing. Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155 zoning Article V1 supplementary regulations governing certain uses in Section 155-31 site plan review of the Marlborough Town Code. Any questions on 155-31? Come on up.
Nikki Simonovsky, I'm speaking as the CAC representative for the town of Marlborough, and I just wanted to reiterate what we've already said, that the CAC gave a brief review to this proposed change to Section 155-31. The Ulster County Planning Board suggested changes that would give more discretion to our town planning board in extending project completion dates, and we would agree with their suggestion from a land conservation viewpoint. We support the premise that disturbed land created by any development should be stabilized as soon as possible, but question if a total of 7 years might give rise to abandoned properties if the economy of the time or other factors make completion unaffordable for the developer. Unfinished products can be an eyesore and devalue properties affecting our tax base. And unbuilt properties could pose environmental consequences such as drainage problems or undue strain on town infrastructures. And we request that this be included in the minutes of the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on 155-31? Brian, come on up. Oh, you're good? All right, then I'm going to ask the board for a motion to close the public hearing on the change to Section 155-31 site plan review.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing for Section 155-31 site plan review.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Okay, so now, the one everybody's here for. Local law, this is a public hearing, again, for the local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155 zoning, Article IX, Administration and Enforcement, Section 155-41.1, Ridgeline and Steep Slope Protection of the Marlborough Town Code. Before I take your public comments, I have just 3 emails that I'll read, and then we'll take regular public comments. These are for people that couldn't make it to the meeting. I got this, it says to the planning board and town board, some may think building on the ridge is an eyesore. I personally think the fencing that most farms have installed on their properties are more of an eyesore. So I guess it really depends on the individual. Not many owners have the means to actually build on the ridge-owned parcels, but the ones that do should be able to. Since it seems no one has a problem building a resort, etc., then they shouldn't have a problem with the few houses on the ridge. And that was a resident of the Marlborough, New York. This one is, I have learned that the proposed building of the residence of Mr. Santini on his own property at Mount Zion Road. I believe that the resident will be a welcome addition to the neighborhood and the town as a whole. As a lifelong Marlborough resident, I encourage others who are as invested as myself to promote the growth of our township in a useful and meaningful way. With the recent influx of home buyers whose sole purpose to exploit the revenue from the overpriced and outbid homes for profit, I have no qualms supporting a family man, a local business owner, from pursuing his desire to build his own dwelling. In light of housing being developed directly on our town center and adjacent to our middle school with price tags that current Marlborough residents could never dream to afford, I again have no aversions to the completion of a single-family home. Respectfully and sincerely, Walter Croner. And I got this last one. I am unable to attend tonight's public hearing and comments regarding the proposed Ridgeline Law due to my workload, working late for my judicial schedule. I ask that Ms. Rosa provide this to you for inclusion in the records for tonight's public hearing. I have read the comments from the previous public hearing as well as previewing the PowerPoint presentation given by the CAC. I have also read pros and cons on the online Facebook forums. After review, I must say that I agree with the CAC and disagree with the proposed Ridgeline Law. The proposed law and change would negatively affect not only viewshed but soil erosion and water runoff for those living below. I live in the hamlet of Milton up on the mountain and fear that clear cutting and grading outside the current law would cause significant problems for my neighbors and myself. Please note, I also think viewshed is an important consideration as well as the environmental impact. I am against the change proposed by the law. Thank you for your consideration, Ms. Michelle Marcus from Milton, New York. So those are the three I have from the other ones that I've been reading, and now I'll open it up to the public for comment. It just said Marlborough resident. It didn't give a name, which I don't typically like. I like people to put their name to something, but they didn't. All right, who's up first? Mickey?
Is that better? Thank you. Thank you. Once again, I'm speaking for the Conservation Advisory Committee. Tonight's proposed amendment is the exact same wording as the amendment previously proposed. If that remains the case, our recommendations would continue to be those as stated in our written report and comments to the board submitted on February 12th of 2024. But after hearing many public comments and explanations, our present code adequately protects the ridgeline as intended, and perhaps it could remain in place as it is. A complete reading of Code 155-41 gives a full explanation of its purpose. It actually gives a dual protection to the ridgeline by citing that a structure cannot extend higher than the tree line, as well as prohibiting a structure from being closer than 50 feet in elevation to the ridgeline. Perhaps the code was written in this fashion to take into account all 7.5 miles of the Marlborough ridgeline and protect it by anticipating that any possible alteration to it could create an environmental impact. Chapter 155-41 F5 of the code reiterates the law and the intention of the chapter. Tree line and ridge line do not sound confusing when read in the totality of 155-41. Also, thank you for Councilman Zambito's question when I gave my PowerPoint. Also, I looked up the definitions of tree line and ridge line to clear up any of my own confusions. A tree line, or its synonym timber line, per Webster's dictionary, is the upper limit of arboreal or tree growth in mountains or high altitudes. The definition says nothing about the top of the trees making a line on the horizon, but it refers to terra firma, or the ground level on which a tree can grow. A ridge line is that line or series of high points along the crest of a mountain range, also ground level. Understanding that, then our code is quite correct and understandable. The ridge line and the tree line of Marlborough Mountains are one and the same. A tree line is different in the Rocky Mountains, for example, where high elevations don't support tree growth. And there you can clearly see a tree line as opposed to the top of the mountains. I would emphasize that eliminating the 50-foot protection eliminates all protection of the ridge line and is totally opposite of the intent of the 2002 Comprehensive Master Plan, as well as its subsequent updates in 2017 and 2022. The master plan is the document that must be followed for all zoning, code, and enforcement standards. That is why it is so important to make sure any change supports the intent to protect the town's economic, environmental, and public welfare. The plan takes into consideration the overall good of all of our residents. At the public hearing on February 12th, the supervisor said the board would be looking at new wording to improve and give clarity to the present code. Obviously, introduction of the exact wording tonight doesn't mirror your intentions. So if the board decides to proceed with enhancing our code, which I believe that's what you want to do, then the CAC stands by our recommendations. In regard to the Ridgeline Protection Code, the board should discard the present amendment as worded and create an improved, non-ambiguous code with the guidance of our town engineer, town attorney, and qualified professionals. The wording should follow the intent of the Comprehensive Master Plan. The code should include clear definitions for ridgeline, tree line, structure, buffers, and point of measurement. Qualifying and/or quantifying language for enforcement standards should be included. And consider neighboring communities' ridgeline protection laws for specificity and language within our own code. I request that our comments be included in the minutes of the public hearing, and I also ask what your intentions are, how soon you would be rewording the code, if we can help you in any way.
When we're going to do it? Probably in a month, over the next month.
Okay. All right.
I already have meetings scheduled with our engineers and our professionals and everybody, so we are doing all those things already.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, if the CAC can be of any service,
Yep.
we'd like to do
You
that.
guys did a great job. I sent it to all of our professionals, and they're taking that in, so when we get to the meeting, they already have an idea what we want to do. So, yeah.
Great, I hope
It's
our
already there.
comments were helpful. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
to all of you.
Yep. You want a seat? Okay, anybody else tonight? Who's that? Oh, there you go. Come on up here. What's going on, Cindy?
Hi, I'm Cindy Lanzetta, and my comment this evening is I have been going back through all the videos, reports, and documentation regarding the proposed changes to the Ridgeline Protection Law, and I am struggling to make sense of this. For 19 years, the existing law has been in place. As our town engineer, Pat Hines, stated at the town meeting on the 12th of February, the present law was enacted to relieve development pressures on the Marlborough Mountains. The law was supported by the town's comprehensive plan that called for a conservation overlay district to better protect ridgelines and view sheds, that any new construction should occur below the tops of ridges. At the hearing on February 12th, when questioned about perceived ambiguities in the law, the town engineer made it clear that the code needed to be read in its entirety to properly understand it. It would appear the town engineer has no problem enforcing the present code. When the question was asked as to why the town board had proposed making changes at this moment in time, the response from multiple board members was that it was because of one particular applicant who wanted to build a residence that was not in compliance with the current law. Board members brought up that a consultant, who is the surveyor for the applicant who wanted to build in the contested area, did not agree with the town engineer's interpretation of the code. The very law that the town engineer helped draft and has been in force for all these years. So, because an applicant and their consultant don't agree with a law, we are looking to change that law. And the change suggested would be to make it easier to build on the ridgeline. The present code maintains that it is the express purpose of this section to provide special qualitative and quantitative development controls for all lands located within the ridgeline protection overlay zone that will protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of the town and is consistent with the Town of Marlborough Comprehensive Plan. The present code has done that for 19 years, and I'm still questioning the need to change that. Thank you.
Thank you.
In your research, right, you said for 19 years you went back. Has there been another applicant that has come forward to the planning board the last 19 years, or is this the first applicant since 19 years that the law was implemented that's coming to the board?
To my knowledge, as far as the time that I have spent on the planning board, this is the first time that an applicant has wanted to build directly on top of the ridgeline.
So you're saying, from your knowledge, since this law came into effect 19 years ago, this is the first time we're at this crossroad when an applicant wants to do this, correct?
Yes.
Would you say that?
So that house on the top of Mount Zion with the lovely windmill that we can all see from a distance that was built in 2005 that is directly on the top of the mountain didn't go to the planning board?
No, it never came before us. It probably was pre-approved, the lot, before this law went into effect, and I'm assuming that a building permit was given to it. But it didn't come before the planning board.
I would think that that in itself is an issue.
Mhm.
Okay?
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Come on up, sir.
My name is Larry Basson. I live up on Frozen Ridge Road. I moved up here about 6.5 years ago. I love this town. It's a great town. I moved up here with my daughter and my grandson. My son moved up here after I moved up here. My daughter is now vice president of the PTA at the elementary school. I'm teaching youth football, coaching, Coach Papa.
Man, I wish some more. That's a lot in 6 years.
It's
That's
a great
great.
little town.
That's
it's
great.
really a great little town. And I think that people who move up here, they're looking for a great little town, not a big town.
Yeah.
And so something like this is disturbing in a way. I think basically nobody is really worried about one or two houses being built that would be outside of the code in terms of its effect on the community, but removing this restriction opens up a door to more development. One of the, not a problem, but an annoyance is already the traffic jam that happens in the middle of town as you go through town. There's always some traffic there. There's that difficult, hard left turn that you have to make if you come down Western Avenue. And, you know, it's certainly not a problem now, but the more that the town develops, the more a problem could develop in that way. In relation to all of that, though, it's not really that much of a worry for me. I'm further down, like Frozen Ridge Road, and it's not going to affect me that much. But in terms of the town itself, I can understand the concern about it. So my question is this. You're basically, if I understand what you said, the reason for doing this is because there was an applicant that really sort of contested this law, and you're sort of like saying, well, maybe we should change it so that it could encourage other people to build. And I also understand from the last meeting, as you explained, you can already build on the ridge. This is not something that doesn't exist already. It's just a question of whether this particular regulation about height.
Correct.
But what did concern me was that I saw an article in the Times Herald Record saying that the change in this law was encouraging and giving new life to a project that was proposed at one time for a resort up on the ridgeline. And something like that would severely affect the town in general. So to reiterate what the last speaker said, my question is really, as elected officials of the town, your job is basically to represent the sentiment of the town in terms of these types of decisions. So I would think that you would want to really get a consensus from the town, not just from a public hearing where certain people will show up and certain people won't, but in general of the town's attitude about the change in this law before you actually change the law.
Well, I get a lot of, trust me, I get many, many calls. Just because I don't speak here about every call I get many calls on this. So I got a consensus of what people want in the town, and I get it from both sides. So I just want to understand, most people that do come here are the people that are against changing anything, but I could tell you I've had many conversations of just the same amount of people on the other side that want change. So yes, the board will make a educated and positive solution to this. That's why we have public hearings. That's why this was put out there since December, and we've been taking feedback since December, right? We're now going into March. I think that's quite a bit of time to take public input on changing one sentence in a code. Now, again, one sentence is a big change, right? I understand that. So we are taking our time, and that's why I just said we're going to take probably another month before we decide how we're going to change it. That's why we split it out of the original code. So yeah, we are looking at it very seriously. This isn't just something we're going to change right now, like off the cuff tonight, right? So I appreciate all the input, trust me, from both sides. And it's not an easy decision because, like I've told everybody that I've talked to, neither side is going to be happy when we change this code, because it's going to be somewhere in the middle. That's what you do. You compromise, right? So neither side's probably going to be happy, but we're going to encourage a little more for someone to build on their property, but not to the extent that maybe they want, right? So yes, there'll be some compromise.
Well, my only thought was that, what about the idea of circulating some sort of a referendum to all the residents of the town?
We're not taking that up as an option. We don't change codes based on referendums. So, I mean, that's why we're elected, to try to make the decisions based. If we had to go out and have a referendum on every single thing that we want to change, we can't govern, right? You elect people to govern for yourself. We have public hearings that you could come and make comments. If we have to have a referendum on every single thing we do, it just wouldn't work. Government doesn't work that way. That's why you elect us. If you don't like what we're doing, then you change us, and that's just how the democracy works.
Honestly, myself, I don't really care one way or the other. It's not really going to affect me directly. I just thought that...
No, I've heard that said a few times, but that's not something we're considering.
Okay.
But I do appreciate you coming to the town of Marlborough and volunteering and coaching and your PTA, that your daughter, that's awesome. I mean, we have people that live here 30 years and don't do half of what you're doing. So I really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Well, it's only because I love the place.
It's a great place to live. So, but again, things do change over time, right? Our town is expanding. We are having people move up like yourself, and people that are coming from the city and different things, and different investors. So, over time things do change, right? But we still want to keep that small town home feeling that we have. That's why people, like you said, are coming here, right? That's why people that want to build resorts here or want to, build these type of establishments here are coming here because they're trying to capitalize on the small town feel. So people come out of the city or wherever they're coming, they want to have a weekend getaway or they want to have a week getaway. And the farming community that we are, that's why they're coming here. So people are trying to capitalize on the other end of that. So, but we have to limit that as much as we possibly can too, but not limit it to the point where we hurt ourselves either, right? We do understand we need to expand to a point, right? Or we don't want to tax everybody out of town. We already pay high taxes, so we do need revenue, and we do like tourism, and we do help. We want the farmers to have as many tourists come in and come to their establishments. So we're trying our best to do what is best for everybody in the town. So I really do appreciate your comments.
It's okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Amy, you coming back up?
No, because I'm having so much fun.
I see that, Amy.
Thank you for all the work you're doing. There's a lot of things going on. So I don't know enough about the topic, and I feel a little inappropriate for weighing in. But what I would say would be, in all of our decisions, there's many different fluidities around time. This was made when, this will be, we don't know what's coming, and I'm going to try to keep it minimal. But in the economic paradigm of disruption, we always have the environmental eco parameters that we're not used to in the GMP model. So what I'm trying to say is that while we make decisions around our community, I appreciate your intent to have our community stay in agriculture. I thought it was interesting, somebody commented on the agricultural, like, farmers put fencing. Well, believe me, we don't like putting fencing up. I grow marijuana and I'm not going to put fencing on, even if they tell me I have to practically. I don't like fencing. But sometimes farmers have to do things to protect their crops.
Sure.
So thank you for being so supportive of that.
Yes,
Very
absolutely.
important, because I do think it's an economic viability in our community. I take so much pride, almost like, I don't use that word too much, but I can say to people coming into town, all you have to do is just over there, something you're never going to believe you're going to see. So we have something precious, so thank you so much for protecting that. And at the same time, people have been here and things changed. There's reasons for the laws that were changed in 2019. I think it's very important if you change a law. I thought it was kind of creative for the citizen to come up and say, we should have a referendum. I appreciate that kind of, real community participation. And at the same time, if you're going to change laws, you really need to, I know you've been working on it and I'm just coming in, so excuse me. But I think that there's a place for somebody who's lived there and has a homestead, and there's different things. So good luck with figuring everything out, as long as they can be within the intentions of with the view. And I feel like it's in good hands. I do believe that you guys understand the eternal value, the long value of environmental concerns.
We understand there's a balance here.
I know, so I
So,
appreciate it. I just wanted to say, thank you very much. I don't want to take up too much time, but there's always that balance. Thank you for considering the law.
thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. Anybody else? All right. So for tonight, we are going to close the public hearing on local law amending Chapter 155, Article IX, Administration and Enforcement, Section 155-41.1, Ridgeline Slope Protection of the Marlborough Town Code. So I need a motion to close the public hearing on this.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing of Article 1X of local law, Chapter 155, zoning.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Again, just so you know, like when we reintroduce, so we're gonna go through this, we're talking to our engineers, our attorneys, all the input we got. It's gonna go through, like I said, probably about a month's worth of time to go through it to make sure we got whatever input in there. We will reintroduce the code with those changes, and then there will be another opportunity for another public hearing at that point. So again, I would expect that hopefully within a month. I do have a meeting set up probably about mid-March, I think we set it up for everybody to come together and hopefully come up with the correct wording. That, like I said, it's probably not going to make everybody happy. Probably both sides might be a little upset, but I think it's going to be something that clarifies the law and gives a little flexibility to those within the ridge. Again, like I said last time, you can build in the ridge now. It's just, my opinion is, I think the law was originally based on a two-story home at the time, and I really want to see, well, if someone wants to build a one-story home, why should they still be subject to the same 50-foot rule? So, again, there are going to be some other changes possibly too with, shading, they call it, with trees or shrubbery, or maybe possibly colors of the housing. We'll see. But again, I'm not going to get ahead of it because we're going to have a meeting and we'll go from there. But I do really appreciate everybody's input, and trust me, we do take everybody's input seriously. And it's nice to see that people come out and actually care about the town, because we all do care about the town. That's why we're sitting here, or we wouldn't be. So I appreciate it. So thank you. So I'll give everybody 3 minutes. If they want to stay, they can stay for the rest of the meeting. If not, you can get up and you could go home, but that's up to you. So I'm going to take a 3-minute break. All right? We can't get people to do anything half the time.
It's tough.
I know how it is. Well, yeah. You only usually get people that complain, that call you, most of the time. But this subject has been, my phone's been ringing off the hook for 3 months. So I do get a lot of both sides of it. And the funny thing is, the people that don't, they don't care. They're like, whatever. They won't come to a meeting. I said, come to a meeting and talk. I don't have time for that. But, it's easy. Well, like I always said, if when they make voting by your phone, you'll have the highest voting in the history of the world. Because that's what people, Yeah.
Knowledge speaks, wisdom listens.
This is true. This is true. That's a great statement. Yeah. Well, we learn a lot about the ridgeline. Like, when someone comes up and says, why we're doing it for one person, we're not doing it for one person. Like Mr. Couchy asked, has this ever been brought up to the planning board since the law has been passed? No, it hasn't. So when we review a code, it's because there's a discrepancy at the planning board. And we say, is there something that needs to be changed here? Because maybe it is too heavily regulated, right? Something that was passed in 2005 may not still be the same for 2024, right? The application then might not be the same as today. Now, again, we also obviously want to protect the ridge, right? Yeah, there's a ton of stuff in the law, like all the stuff about the drainage and that's all covered. This is all visual, right? So, and then there's personal property rights get involved too. People get aggravated, like, it's my land, I'm paying taxes on it. Then I get like, if I can't build on that property, you can't tax me on that property, right? But that's not true. We can, but now we're telling you can't. But there's regulations on everything where you build, right? So there's regulations on everything. So it's a tough road. But we'll come up with somewhere in the middle. And like I said, Both sides won't. Like where Mr. Santini wants to build, I don't think he's going to be able to build where he wants to build unless something changes in like our conversations over the next couple months. But could he, if he built a single-story house, could he be further up? Yeah. Because again, the law is, it's a visual. That's all it is. It's a visual. It's based on giving a 15-foot buffer to a house at its baseline, right? Well, what if you build a one-story house and it's only 12 feet instead of 35 feet? Why does it got to be the same regulation? It'd be the same view, right, from the top. My point is, and I think I told you guys this, it should be based on the top of the roof line, not the base of the house. It should be the roof line to the ridge line. Then it makes flexibility in your property where you can move, single story, double story, right? You can't build anything. So to me, it should be based on your roof line, top of your roof. Basically, your roof line don't go over the ridge, you're good. From the bottom of the house. Yeah, so that, and it's also from the ridge line. See, some other people interpret it's anywhere on the ridge. No, it's the ridge you built on. So even Mr. Glory, where he built his house, technically is very shady because he was using the ridge line behind him, not the one he's on. So, but if you go by the roof line, as long as I'm looking at the mountaintops and I don't see a roof top above the ridge line, fine. And honestly, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Because what if they build up that spot or they lower it? You know, it's the roof line. That's it. It's simple. Like, to be honest with you, it's getting a little like making a mountain out of a molehill, like as far as how we're getting at this. It really is a very simple thing. Just in what I just said. Just make it the roof line and we're done.
Well, I shouldn't say that. He would have had to get the.
So your roof line can't go above the ridge? On the lot you're built on. It's simple. Exactly. Right. Now, if you want to say, okay, your roof has to be brown to blend in, if we want to put that strict of a regulation, I don't know. See, that's the thing. Is now I don't like to dictate to people what they can and can't do at their house or on their own property. Like, I'm a believer, it's your property. You should be able to do, for the most, what you want on your property, right? There's regulations, like I said, for everything, but for the most part, I shouldn't dictate to you what color your windows are.
Once you get up to the very and it says if you can't put it anywhere outside the lot, it doesn't.
I don't want to say that out loud, but really that's where I'm headed. Yeah.
We never thought about it. And again, that wasn't even.
It's simple. It's easy to determine. It's easy to measure, right? So it's simple. Thanks. Thanks for coming in. Okay. Danielle, you ready? You got the recorder on? All right. So now we're going back to our agenda workshop meeting, Town Board, Town of Marlborough, February 26th. This is our workshop meeting. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the February 12th, 2024 Town Board meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the February 12th, 2024 Town Board meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Motion to approve minutes from the January 8th, 2024 public hearing meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 8th, 2024 public hearing meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Authorize payment of bills of $315,864.55.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Supervisor updates. What do you want to hear?
Tell us everything.
Tell us everything. Well, I'd start with Tom back as we always do. I want to thank Gail Appler out there in the audience. Gail built us a nice receiving table, I don't know what you want to call it. In our recreational side, we had a section that was in the corner that I kept saying that would look like a nice spot so we could have a serving, so someone could be behind it and someone could be in the front of it. And we also used the brick that we had left over from the front of the building, and it looks awesome. So I want to thank Gail for doing that. So good job to my deputy supervisor. So that was great. Inside is probably 80% done. The biggest thing that has to get done, of course, it's going to be the last thing, is the floors. The tile work is done. All the bathrooms are completed. The kitchen is starting next. And then once that's done, we already have all the equipment there. The office is set, the audio-visual set, the internet set, the cameras are in, the handicap doors opening work. Again, like I told you last meeting, then we're going to start working on the outside. So that'll take a month or so at least. We have the blacktop. I don't know if you guys saw, we're getting prepared for the blacktopping. We have to put catch basins in, 4 of them, I believe, and we're going to divert the water, and we're going to re-blacktop the whole parking lot. And we got to bring the handicap section up, the blacktop up to the handicap ramp. So there'll be a couple of handicap spots in the front. But overall, it's coming out great. I expect the interior, like I said, to be done by April. Maybe another month after that or so, we'll have the exterior done, and then we'll go from there. So that's looking great. Down at the Milton Landing, there's been some Facebook posts, but obviously they started some work down there. They're just doing preliminary work, drainage work, stuff like that, because we're still, we signed a few contracts with CSX. As you remember last meeting, we had to send them a nice check for that work. But we still have some issues with the crossing. Not so much issues as far as they want more money for certain things, and we're almost there with that. I could technically probably sign the crossing agreement, but I need to get easement agreements in place, and these easement agreements are pertaining to the crossing. They pertain to the sign that's down there, which is actually on their property, fencing, which is on their property, and different little items that are in their easement. So we want to make sure we have all those in place before I sign everything at once. Because if I sign one thing and then we don't get the easements, then it's, it doesn't make sense. Because we're going to be putting walkways in and fencing in, and I don't want to do that, put the cart before the horse. So we're almost there with that. I'm expecting hopefully in the next week or two, Jerry will get those worked out. So that's moving forward down there. Old Indian Trail, I'm waiting for GPI to come here. They've been working on another project that the one engineer that they use for these types of things, he hasn't been able to get down here yet. But I'm trying to get information on that. I did talk to Senator Hinchy's office again on that project too. If there were any agencies or monies out there that could help if we decide to go with the option we all want to do is actually have it north and south open. So we're still working on that front, and then we're also working on the front with the turning lanes. So, preliminary numbers I got for turning lanes on most of 9W, if we were going to do what was in the report, was a preliminary number, believe it or not, was $750,000 just to put some turning lanes in. So that's how crazy it is to do these things. When New York State was paving the road, they could have done it for nothing, right? It would have been already done, but they didn't do it. So now we're talking a lot of money. And again, Senator Hinchy's office and Assemblyman Jacobson's office reached out to me about it and said that they would help if they can. So I just got to get the engineer to give us real numbers. I don't know if Mike here, I want Tom to talk about the grants up at the county if you like. So as you know, we got approved for the park project, which we got $100,000. Tom was instrumental in getting that as the county legislator, as our representative. And I haven't got the contract, so if you want to give an update on that. And we're also waiting for our solar grant, which is $100,000, I believe. And we haven't even got the application for that yet, so.
Right. So, quick overview. What happened at the county is all the towns got their federal money, the ARPA money, the relief money. The county got $34 million in ARPA funds. I was put in charge of that committee to distribute the funds. As of today, year and a half later, we've distributed $31.5 million of those funds. And I say distributed means that we put resolutions forward, they were adopted, accepted, and voted on by the legislature and done. But here's where the problem comes. When they say the wheels of justice turn slowly, well, I could tell you the wheels of Ulster County and getting this money out are turning even slower. Because what the process is we put a resolution forward. Example, I put the resolution forward for solar. I put a $2.5 million chunk of solar, of the ARPA money to go towards solar to the municipalities. There's 23 legislators. I figured each legislator should have a minimum of $100,000, so we went with 2.5 because we have a couple villages outside the towns. Each municipality is able to get $100,000, able to put in for that $100,000. I think it's a pretty easy go because then for us it would be putting solar panels on the back end of the new rec center, community center down there to offset the cost of electricity to our residents. Real simple. I think most municipalities would take that. With that said, I got that resolution passed 1 year ago through the legislature. We passed it, we voted on it, great idea, done. We passed it 1 year ago. As of today, 1 year later, we still haven't put the applications out. Now, granted, it has to be an application. After the applications are accepted by the county and passed, then it has to go to contract. Contract have to be written and voted on, and then they finally get put into motion. And put into motion doesn't mean they cut you a check. It takes such a long time. So, back to the parks program. So the money we got for the parks, we at least got through the contract part of it. So the contracts came through, and that was 6 months ago, so the contracts were done. We have still not sent out the contracts to the municipalities on that yet. So because we've accepted, the resolution was passed, that's the process. We passed the resolution, it was accepted, voted on. The applications went out. Applications went out, towns took them, accepted them, we took them back and accepted the applications. Now we're working on contracts. So the contracts haven't gone out. So it's not that this board or any other municipality's board has not done their due diligence on getting it done. It's on our end of not getting those contracts written and back to the municipalities for them to sign, to come back to us for the allocations of money to be submitted to the federal government. The process is insane. We're dealing with $34 million. We're dealing with hundreds of contracts, hundreds of applications, and what we ended up with was a department that was given to us through the federal government of 3 people. As of 6 months ago, went down to 2 people because the one person left the department knowing that that job was a temporary job. At the end of this year, all monies have to be allocated and distributed by the county or the money is lost. Now, we'll get rid of the other $2.5 million one way or the other. But again, through no municipality's fault, no supervisor's fault, no town board fault, that they did not get the money. Because again, that parks money has been allocated, that parks money has been, the applications have been put in, but the contracts have not been done. And that's just on that. That was done. We haven't even started the solar. So again, through no fault of any board, of any municipality, it really falls back on us. And when I say us, it's the county. When I say us, it's that small department of 2 people trying to put $34 million in hundreds of contracts and applications together and out. So that is kind of where we stand with that.
Well, if you need to give $2.5 million to someone, I could use it.
Well,
I could come up with some kind of project that could tell you that.
Turning lanes,
well,
I heard.
I think you'll have to fight the executive's office on that one because
Yeah,
at last meeting, I basically threw the 2.5 back into her office and told County Exec Mexler that we're looking for a nice project for the county that benefits all the residents.
Yeah, the county's been doing a great job. I mean, as far as actually even allocating that money down to the municipalities, it's been great. We got $500,000 for our sewer plant upgrade from the county. We got $100,000 for the park. We're going to get 100, hopefully, for the solar. So, we're getting $700,000 back so far. So, that's a big chunk of money.
Well,
So,
I got to tell you that, we're lucky, again, politics aside, we're lucky to have, Pat Ryan there and now Jen Metzger there as our executive, because there are people up there that believe that the $34 million belonged to the county, and the county was to take that money and run with it and spend it.
Yeah.
But myself and quite a few others voiced our opinion and said, listen, the county exists because of the municipalities that are within the county and the people that reside in the county. And we were able to do those projects to give back to the supervisors of each municipality because we had enough votes to do that, and we had enough support in the executive's office. So again,
Yep.
we were lucky to have those people in those offices that believed that the county didn't deserve the 34 million, and we did use it in certain spots up there specifically for the county, but they were gracious enough to accept what we had put forward to say that money belongs to each municipality individually, and we should break that money up.
and when are we talking about the county? When are we getting our bus stop shanty put in there?
Okay, with the help of Mr. Couchy here, building our bus stop on his dime, which is beyond gracious and everything else. I will start the concrete pad probably at the end of this month, because we got into a point where we were building it, he was building it, his employees were building it, and we couldn't get the pad in because of the weather. But we will pour that pad somewhere towards the end of this month and hopefully have the bus stop up and going by April or May. And if all you don't know, bus service is called the UCAT service, Ulster County Transportation Service, the UCAT service, is free to all residents in Ulster County. It used to be a smaller fee to ride the bus. It was
Couple
fair.
dollars.
But as of 2 years ago, we made that a free service to our residents. My problem, and if you look at my voting record, I did not vote for that free, because the only reason I didn't vote for that free is because the bus does not come to Marlborough. It is not fair for our residents and for us to pay for bus service that does not come to our community. But again, talking with Executive Metzger, I told her, if I build it, you will come. And she agreed, and once we get this bus coming, we will have bus service back to Marlborough. The bus stop will be right here, which is convenient for everybody, seniors and others alike. It is lit, it has a parking spot, it is next to the police station, and it will allow our residents to ride back and forth on the UCAT bus service free of charge in and out of the community. So that bus service is coming soon.
Good.
And then to finish up on the monies, they promised me by the end of March, you should see the contracts for parks. They're not promising a whole lot with solar, except for the application by March or April. But again, they know they have to get those contracts out by
Yeah, because
August.
like I told you, we have to get the contract and signed so I could put it out to bid what we want to do. I can't do it until I have that
Right,
contract.
you have the contracts. You'll see the parks contracts, since that one has accepted applications and they've processed those. They'll start putting those to the legislature, 3-4 contracts at a time, so we get everybody done. So you'll start seeing them in March.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that Marlborough will be. one
That's
of the
another
first
funny thing, if you don't know. They don't pass them all at once in one meeting either. They only do 3 or 4 at a time. And then they got to come back the next meeting and do another 3 or 4. It's like
So if there's
pulling teeth.
right now, there's somewhere in the vicinity of 16 park contracts, and if they pass 3 to 4 at a time, it'll take quite a few months to do it. But again, I'm hoping Marlborough will be so they'll stop yelling at you, Sherrod, that Marlborough will be one of the first contracts passed in session, and we'll get that contract here somewhere by the end of March, and then you should see the solar contract somewhere in the vicinity of April, and then hopefully by August or September, those contracts will be out and passed, because again, at the end of this year, all money has to be allocated by the end of 2024, or we lose the money.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for all your work, Tom.
Questions?
We got a question out there, huh?
A little out of my depth here, but if we happen to know or are married to lawyers who could volunteer some help with contracts, is that something that would help the bottom line, or it's not?
I wish I could say yes, but no. Yeah, that runs all through the ARPA division, which has federal regulations on it, and then is given to our lawyers to handle those contracts. But it's done, yeah, and I appreciate that, and I wish, listen, I've sent many emails saying I would take a week off of work here and go up and write contracts myself, just applications. And we've written hundreds already for the other things. So to me, it seems simple, taking out word sewer and putting the word solar in and sending the same application out. They seem to think it's a little bit more difficult. So, but again, no, and I appreciate that. But the federal regulations require this specialized department that we had 3, now 2, handle most of all those contracts and applications. But thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you.
Good.
You got any questions? The only other thing I have, I don't know if everybody saw that there was an accident last week and Buckley Bridge got damaged. Got damaged pretty bad. And we have to have our insurance get with their insurance, and we have to come up with a fix. But it's open right now. It's passable, but someone smashed into it, flipped over into the stream, and unfortunately lost their lives in it. But just if everybody's going down there, Buckley Bridge, the one that they restored years ago, the historic old post road is. Yeah. Yeah, as you go down, it's kind of like you got to wait because it's really like a single lane. So unfortunately, it'll get fixed. So if anybody didn't know that, that's what happened there. There's a few accidents that day. So that's all I have that I could think off the top of my head. So we will go on. I don't have any presentations. Does anybody have any comments specifically on the agenda? Okay, reports of committee, CAC committee.
It's written, you'll get it. Just want to thank you again for the opportunity to give comments on the Ridgeline amendment, and you heard my comments on that. But I want to tell you, we've made progress in additional areas as well as all the work we've done on that. We've been invited to tour the Cornell Cooperative Extension Agritech Lab, and we will be visiting that. Our spring project will be a Zoom meeting open to the public on the topic of composting. We've scheduled that for Tuesday, March 26th at 6 p.m. The presentation will be in person at the Marlborough Library and also offered virtually. So look for announcements on our Facebook page. And we hope that a lot of people will help themselves with composting. We are also hoping that the board will consider the placement of a collection receptacle to collect aluminum can tabs in the lobby of the police department or somewhere else on a town property, as well as a can of some sort for recyclable cans and bottles. One of our members uses the money made from recycling the aluminum on those can tabs to benefit the Shriners van service, and the can and bottle money supports the local food banks. So he's willing to pick those up as long as the town board is willing to let us put a receptacle in place. This is one way the CAC would like to encourage recycling and still help our citizens in need. Any collecting receptacles, of course, would need your approval before placement. And the cohort meetings will resume this month. In the meantime, we are hoping to get the greenhouse gas inventory finally completed with the help of a new volunteer. And our last cohort meeting was very instructive on how to complete that paperwork. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I do have a report from Meet Me in Marlborough. So Meet Me in Marlborough to Town Board, February 26, 2024. A new Meet Me in Marlborough clothing bin installed at Mazzola Oil Service, 1871 Route 9W, Milton, New York. We are very pleased to announce the arrival of Meet Me in Marlborough new clothing bin located at Mazzola Service Oil, the former Young's Motors. The clothing bin will help us continue our work on future projects and promote Meet Me in Marlborough members and our wonderful community. We are happy to report that the bin is already half full. Think of Meet Me in Marlborough for your spring cleaning of clothes and stuffed animals. Help us support local by donating your gently used items to Meet Me in Marlborough clothing bin. Receipts are available by using the QR code posted on the shed. A special thank you to Mazzola Oil Service, Lee, Stefan, Meredith, Mazzola for their help and support. Please see attached press release. I'll get that's like here. You can see that they. Has everybody seen this up on Route 9W by the Youngs? By the billboard. It's basically right underneath the billboard. So if you, and Meet Me in Marlborough is going to monitor this. You know, the one thing the board had told them when they first came here is, you know, if we start seeing mattresses and kids' stuff all hanging out outside the bin, we are going to ask them to remove it. They have to monitor it. They have to keep it clean. If they do not, we will ask the code enforcement officer to have them have it removed because it's right on 9W and we do not want to have that on 9W, the clutter. But you know, everybody probably knows what I'm talking about. You've seen these everywhere. And sometimes you get a lot of stuff there that's not really meant to be there. So, and upcoming events planning this year, April and May, Sunday, May 20th, Spring Blossom and May Festival event. May 19th, May Farm and Artisan Market at Milton Hardware. May and October, Hudson Valley Farmers Market. October, Saturday, 10-5 and Sunday, 10-6, rain date, the Bounty Festival. Saturday, 10/26, 2 to 4, kids and adults trick-or-treat in Hamlin and Marlborough. And November 11, 2023, May local events for Thanksgiving and farmers. So Meet Me in Marlborough always plans ahead for all their events. A lot of them are the same traditional ones they do every year, but they always try to make them different and more exciting every year. So thank you to them. And then Councilwoman Sessions, you want to talk about anything recreational?
Yeah, the Recreation Committee's next big event is the Easter Egg Dash, which will be held Saturday, March 30th. That's the Saturday immediately before Easter, and it will be up at the Hudson Valley Sports Dome, very similar to last year. So the committee and Tina in your office is working.
My office is filled with boxes right now.
Of course it is.
I got 8,000 eggs in boxes up in my office right now. So.
Yes, so that's sure to be another good event. There will be a DJ there playing music and doing activities with the kids. I believe Rook Karate is also participating this year in leading orchestrated activities for the kids before they actually dash for the Easter eggs. So it'll be a fun event, and that's what the committee is focused on at the moment. Of course, they're also working very hard on the concerts in the park for the summer, which will be every Friday in July. And actually, we are seeing tremendous interest and demand from artists now approaching us that want to play at the concerts in the park. Yeah, it's great. So the committee actually has the lineup, I think, fully baked at this point, and people are locked in. So they'll be announcing that probably once we get through Easter. And I think you'll see some really nice talent at those events. But we have to put a process in place, I would say, for next year where we have an official application that probably opens in the fall and is open for a certain duration of time so that artists can submit their demos to us and we can review those a little bit more systematically because the interest is really growing, which is a great problem to have. We will have fireworks 2 nights also this year. So there's the fireworks on Friday, July 5th, which is obviously right around 4th of July. And then there will be another slightly smaller fireworks display the final Friday of the month on the 26th.
Awesome. Yeah, it's funny how we couldn't get people to want to play there. Now you're beating them off with a stick, right?
Yeah.
So, if anybody hasn't been to these concerts, I would really recommend that you come to these concerts. They're really, really awesome. And the food vendors that come are really awesome. And the rec committee does an awesome job. And the Easter hunt is also an awesome event. It's been going on since I've been here 13 years. So Sharada took it over, thank God. So it's been awesome. She's doing a great job. So keep it up. The rec committee's been doing awesome. So
they're doing great, and just a reminder to anyone listening or watching, the Rec Committee is an open committee. Meetings are typically posted on the town website, and if anybody would like to join or pitch in at any time, there's no obligation, but you're welcome to join and pitch in on events as they come up.
Thank you. Okay, anybody got any new business that you want to open up or discuss?
I had a resident contact me this week about the students that walk from the high school into the hamlet on Long Western Avenue and inquiring as to whether we could ever put sidewalks on that road. And I think that's probably come up in the past, but
Well, it was actually approved by the county 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. It was on their docket, as they call it. It was funded, and then fell off their docket because they never completed it. So is it something that's on our radar? It's always, yeah, definitely something on our radar. But I can't, they're actually walking from the high school down to the hamlet?
yeah,
Go after them forever.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are they walking? Right on the road then, I guess?
Side, yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I could bring it back up to them. I mean, again, it's not on the docket anymore up there, but
It can't be done.
it's all,
There's a reason for, they can't do it. It was put on premature. I've had conversations with the planning department up there, and Dennis Doyle had informed me that it's just an impossibility. And the impossibility has to do with right-of-ways and taking of them coming down there.
yeah, there's a lot of,
There's no way to do it. Now, I voiced my opinion again a couple months ago in one of our economic development meetings. Dennis was in there, and we had, again, these ARPA funds which were available for funding for infrastructure, which would allow funding for that sidewalk, which I put in for. But that was rejected. When I followed up on why the rejection for the federal money for the infrastructure improvement of sidewalks from the high school to town, it was presented to me that the impossibility was there because of right-of-ways and taking the right-of-ways along that road all the way down.
so easements again.
Problem with that.
It's always an easement problem, I'm telling you. Okay. There you
Scott,
go.
Scott, I got one
Yes, sir.
comment. I had a few Marlborough citizens asking me about this pickleball that we said that we were going to do this year. Then they want to know what kind of a milestone schedule, and they're getting excited. They see spring around the corner and getting excited.
I can't give you a schedule because, you know, this is something where the highway department's actually going to help us out and do all this work.
Okay.
And they kind of just, like, all of a sudden one day they'll show up at the park and start doing stuff. It's on their, again, on their docket, as I say, it's in our budget. I know one of the gentlemen at the highway department himself really likes to play pickleball, so I think it'll get done sooner than later. But I think soon as the weather breaks, because you can't, they got a blacktop a bunch and none of the plants are open right now. So I'm assuming maybe they'll get it done as maybe when we blacktop the community center. Maybe we could do it all at the same time.
And when is that?
I'm hoping May, June, the latest, right?
Okay.
But they got to do some preliminary work, obviously, up to that point. And then
Is
we
there
got to
like
get fencing.
some kind of grading plan?
Yeah, you got to do all the grading. We might have to close the basketball court down for a month because we probably have to move the basketball court a little. We're going to take down a couple of the nets because there's like, I think there's 6 nets up there right now. The 4 on each side don't really get used, so they're kind of just in the way. So they're going to come out. And then the basketball court's going to get moved a little towards the driveway, and that way we can fit the pickle courts behind it. So, and then of course all the fencing. So it's going to come. I just can't give you an exact date. So sometime in the summer.
Okay.
All right.
Well, it's a good answer. Tell them in June, July.
All good things come to those who wait, my mom used to say. So we will get it done. Anybody else? All right. So then, open board discussion. I don't know if you guys have any other discussions besides what we just said, open business. So anything else? I think we all know what, you know, the Ridge Line is a big topic of discussion. As I said, we've been open since December when we first established putting this up. And over the next month, we'll probably go through a lot of back and forth, and then we'll figure out how we're going to change it. So unless you guys have anything to add to that, I think that really was our shop topic tonight. So correspondence, I have one, of course, from the chief. This is to Chief Kokoza. I'm writing to inform you of my resignation as a police dispatcher for the town of Marlborough Police Department, effective February 18th, 2024. My 20 years at the Marlborough Police have been significantly rewarding part of my career journey. I have deeply appreciated the opportunity and to grow and the experience I've had here, and that's Andrew Rivera. So Andrew's leaving us, but he did do 20 years in the town of Marlborough, so we can't ask for anything more than that.
Is he going elsewhere, Scott, or retiring, or no idea?
I don't know.
Okay.
He didn't say, so I don't know. That's the only other correspondence I had. This is the time. Does anybody else in the public have any public comments? Any other public comments? I know we got a lot of public comments tonight. All right, then I'm going to go into resolutions, and we already, so we did 32, so now we're going to do 30. There's only two more resolutions. And I'm going to try to get through these quick. I'm not going to read every single thing in the resolution because these are very long. This is the code change for the cannabis consumption law. I will go through some of the points that people brought up that they had asked about. But again, as I said early on, this is being put on the books because we as a town do allow establishment like these in our town, and the New York State does allow cannabis retail establishments in the state, and we do need to have something in our code book to regulate them. So this is the reason why we're doing this. The biggest part of this, I think everybody knows, was talked about the most, was the distance. And as I explained earlier, the distance that we went to the maximum that was regulated by the state without making it too harsh on any applicant that would want to come and do this was 500 feet. That is going to be from anywhere from a school, a daycare center, and what we did add was town buildings and town parks. So there's very limited spots they can do it, and this is also only along the Route 9W corridor. It's not in residential areas, it's not in the hamlet areas, it's just on the Route 9W corridor. But there's a lot of different, you can't, the signage, there's a lot of stuff in here about signage, you can't have the leaves outside and different things like that. So there's a lot of regulations on how you can promote this, and part of it is, yes, it's legal, but also you don't want to have kids be encouraged to go into these establishments if they don't have to. But it is legal, and it is something that it could be a revenue producer for the towns that allow this. And of course, we are a farming town, and this is considered farming. So that's where we're at.
Scott, before we vote, the 500-foot radius, is that from the building or from the border of the property?
I say it's from line to line, right? That's the only thing we could actually measure, right? So it's from, the lines that are dedicated by,
Like the
with the
parcel
county,
lines?
that the county actually has on their maps. So on the edge of their property to the edge of the other person's property would be, yeah. So by county dedicated lines that separate your properties, not from door to door, it's from line to line. So.
Should that be spelled out in here, or is that just generally accepted practice?
I
Tom?
don't think it's spelled out, but it's.
It would be property line.
Okay.
Anytime I would read something like that, and anywhere else in the code book, it would be property line,
Okay.
Distance is property line.
Okay.
There
Thank
really
you.
ain't no other real way to kind of do it, but property line, so. So this is Resolution 30 to adopt the local law number 1 of 2024 entitled Local Law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155 zoning of the Town of Marlborough Town Code as follows. Amending Section 155-1, adding definitions for cannabis, cannabis establishment, cannabis on-site consumption establishment, cannabis products, and cannabis retail dispensary, Section 155-12, use regulations, and add in Section 155-32.5, cannabis, marijuana, retail sales, and lounges. Supervisor Court composes the following, whereas on about December 11th, 2023, a local law was introduced proposing the amended various provisions of Chapter 155 zoning of the Marlborough Town Code as follows. Amended Section 155-1, and definitions for cannabis, cannabis establishment, cannabis on-site consumption establishment, and cannabis products and cannabis retail dispensaries. Section 155-12, use regulations, and adding Section 155-32.5, cannabis, marijuana, retail sales, and lounges. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough referred the matter to the Town of Marlborough Planning Board in accordance to Town Code Section 155-49, with comments being received on dated January 8th, 2024. And whereas the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough referred this matter to the Ulster County Planning Board in accordance with General Municipal Law 239-M, with comments received dated January 3rd, 2024. And whereas on about January 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. prevailing time, a public hearing was held in proposed local law. And whereas notice of the said public hearing was given pursuant to the terms and provision of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York, and where substantial changes were made to the proposed local law, and such as on February 12, 2024, the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough reintroduced the proposed local law as amended. And whereas the local law has been on the desk of the members of the Town Board for at least 7 days, exclusively a Sunday. Whereas the local law involves an amendment to various provisions of Chapter 155 zoning to the Town of Marlborough zoning code, as it pertains to regulating the time, place, and manner of cannabis, marijuana, retail sales, and consumption establishments. And whereas these amendments are consistent with the goals, objectives, and recommendations of the Town Marlborough Comprehensive Plan, and whereas on or about December 11, 2023, the Town Board declared its intent to act lead agency and referred the petition to the Town of Marlborough Planning Board in accordance to Town Code Section 155-49. And whereas on February 12, 2024, the Town Board reaffirmed their intent to act as lead agency, and whereas it was previously been determined that the adoption of the local law is classified as a Type 1 action under New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, its implementing regulations 6 NYCRR Park 617 SECRA, and the Town Board as lead agency hereby determines that the proposed action will not result in a significant adverse impact on the environment, and thus declares authorized that approves that the negative declaration be issued. Now therefore be enacted the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough that the Town Code amended as follows. Oh boy. All right, so the rest I'm not going to go through. It's like I said, this is all the wording of the actual law. You could read it online. It's on our on-site, right, Danielle? It'll be in our minutes. It's a long list, a lot of regulations. And the local law is enacted pursuant to municipal home rule law. The local law shall supersede the provision of town law to extend in its inconsistent of the same and to extend permitted by the New York State Constitution, the municipal home rule law, or any other applicable statute. Section 8, effective date. The law shall become effective upon filing with the Office of New York State Secretary of State, according with municipal home rule law. The foregoing resolution was duly put to vote, which has resulted as follows. Yes.
Yes.
Well, in an ideal world, I'd like to see this radius much further than 500 feet from schools specifically, but given that we cannot do that legally as per New York State, yes.
I know. It sucks.
Yes.
I agree with you, Sharon. Okay, Resolution 31, to adopt local law number 2, 2024, entitled Local Law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155 zoning, Article IV, supplementary regulations governing certain uses, Section 155-31, site plan review of the Town of Marlborough Town Code. Supervisor Corcoran proposes the following, whereas on about December 11, 2023, a local law was introduced proposing to amend the various provisions of 155 zoning of the Marlborough Town Code as follows, amending Section 155-31 site plan review and Section 155-41.1 ridgeline and steep slope protection, the combined local law. And whereas a public hearing in relation to the combined local law was held on January 8, 2024 at 7 p.m. prevailing time. Whereas notice of said public hearing was given pursuant to terms and provisions of the municipal home rule law of the state of New York. And whereas on about February 12, 2024, the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough reintroduced the amendments proposed on the combined local law. Whereas said local law has been on the desk of the members of the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough for at least 7 days, exclusive of Sunday. Whereas the local law involves an amendment of Chapter 155 zoning, Article the I, supplementary regulations govern certain uses of Section 155-31 site plan review of the Town of Marlborough Town Code, and whereas an amendment are consistent with the goals, objectives, and recommendations of the Town of Marlborough Comprehensive Plan, and whereas on about December 11, 2023, the Town Board declared its intent to act as lead agency and referred the petition of the Town of Marlborough Planning Board in accordance with Town Code Section 155-49, whereas on February 12, 2024, the Town Board reaffirmed its act as lead agency, and whereas the Town Board received a response from the Planning Board dated January 8, 2024, in accordance with Town Code Section 155-49, and whereas on and about December 12, 2023, Town Board referred the petition to the Ulster County Planning Board in accordance with General Municipal Law 239-M, and whereas the Town Board received response from the Ulster County Planning Board on January 3, 2024, and where it was previously been determined that adoption of local law is classified as a Type 1 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and its implementing regulations 6 NYCRR Park 617, SECRA, and the Town Board as lead agency hereby determines that the proposed action will not result in a significant adverse impact on the environment and thus declares, authorizes, and approves that the negative declaration be issued. Now therefore be enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough, the Town Code is amended as follows. Okay, and this one here, it's in Section K, the Town of Marlborough Code entitled 155 Zoning. In Section K, expiration of approved site plan review and approval shall be void if construction is not started within 1 year and completed and we're changing it to 4 years of the date of the final site plan approval. Each of these respective periods of expiration may be extended in the Planning Board discretion for up to, we're changing it to 3 additional periods of 1 year each. The Planning Board authority to extend the respective periods of expiration shall apply to any project which required such an extension in writing filed with the town no later than on or after January 1st, 2008. So that's the main section that we're changing. An effective date, this law shall become effective upon filing with the Office of New York State Secretary of State in accordance with the Municipal Home Rule Law. The foregone resolution was duly put to vote, which resulted as follows. Yes.
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 Okay. So since Eddie's not here, Manny, you got the floor.
Okay, let's see, it's 8:40, and I make a motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
Second.
Don't jump at it.
can have it.
Boy, all in favor? Aye. So moved. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for sticking it out.